Hey guys, Texas Garden Guy here, and I'm coming to you today with another desert rose video, but this one is unlike any other desert rose video we've ever done before. This is usually the size pot that I end up using for a desert rose. Today, I had to actually go hunt down and find a pot big enough for this desert rose. I'll typically use about a 1 gallon size bag of soil. I had to go special order 7 gallons of soil for this video. The reason I did all this is because recently I bought this desert rose. This was a $40 desert rose, an awesome find that I found at Enchanted Forest. And this was my biggest desert rose. This was my biggest desert rose until last weekend. What is going on, everybody? We are out here at Fred Reyes Greenhouses for their fall fling. This is always one of my favorite places in pretty much all of Texas to come to because they have such a good selection. They have such a good selection of pretty much everything, especially tropicals and cactuses and succulents, and most importantly, desert roses. This would be by far my biggest one if I got one of these. This is where they keep the big ones. And this guy is like calling my name right here. This one right there is calling my name. It might have even been 2 desert roses at one point and they inoculated, merged. All right, so let's get back to the house from Fred's, and man, $149 what I spent on this. It is a big boy. This is a big old boy right here. It's not the most like exotic looking flower. I mean, it's kind of your generic red and white. But it's got some striations going down into the flower. But I was just blown away by this Caudex. I mean, if you look right here, it's not so fat, but it's kind of like thick. It's a thick one, like it's just really thick. And I'm feeling around in the pot. Like when you get a desert rose and you feel the pot, you can kind of feel and squeeze it, and you can feel where those roots are at. And there is some rootage going on in here. Not really the best time to repot something like this, but I also don't want to leave it in the soil, because if it stays in the soil in my greenhouse, it's going to get wet, it's going to get too moist, and I'm not be able to control the moisture content of the soil, so it's got to get repotted. Oh my God. This is my biggest desert rose. Just to put it in perspective, I'll put my most recent biggest one right next to my new biggest one. It's about 18 inches taller, which is cool, but I'm not so much worried about the height of it. What I really like is what's down below. Oh my God. If you look down, you will see that this is actually 2 or 3 main trunks. If y'all can tell, 2 big trunks. I don't have any that are this thick and tall. So I went with this one rather than another one that I found at Fred Reyes that was really, really thick. I went with this one because I kind of want to allow it to get a little bit taller and then kind of keep some shrubbage up here. We'll be doing some pruning, maybe not right now because it's getting towards the fall. Even though it was in the 90s today, I probably won't do too much heavy pruning up top, but I will get the Caudex situated. So what we want to do is get this out of the black soil, put it into the soil's bonsai soil, and get it ready to overwinter. And then come spring, I'll probably do a lot more heavy pruning up top. We may take out some little things here and there, but we'll wait for the heavy pruning for the spring when the juices are really flowing. You don't want to do too much pruning when it's going into dormancy. You want to do all your pruning for the most part whenever it's actively growing. So like I said, we may do a little bit of pruning, but not a crazy amount. So let's get started by seeing how we're gonna get this out of the pot. You ready for the reveal? Here we go. Oh my goodness. There's our first look at that Caudex. Here we go. Once you start repotting, you cannot stop, so let's just get to it. Use this paintbrush to kind of be gentle up against the Caudex. And I also didn't water this plant for about 3 or 4 days before I did this. Oh yeah, here we go. Here it comes. Here we go. Look at all this Caudex, man. This is nice. Not as big as I thought it was going to be, but it's nice and fat and tall. I really like the shape of this. I could have gone with the fatter one, but I liked the shape of this one. So, ooh, here we go. Just using that brush to kind of get in there and get that soil off the Caudex. Nice and gentle. Pull some of these weeds out while I'm going to. We're probably going to prune some of these roots off too. We'll prune some of these roots off, and then we'll avoid watering for about a week. Oh yeah, here we go. All the biggest desert roses I've gotten came from Fred Reyes. So if you're looking for a desert rose, a big one, or even one just to start with, prices are really good at Fred Reyes for even just the starter ones. But this was $150. It's a monster. I have no idea how old this one is. I'd have to ask Rachel or Fred. And I was there for a meetup for a fall fling. And I usually wouldn't do potting like this in the fall, but it's been pretty warm. Like today was like 95. Just keep going. Trying to get as much of this soil off before we do any root trimming. And as I'm going, I'm feeling for any soft spots. Feeling for any soft spots or rot or anything like that. And just trying to get as much of this black soil off. Because problem with black soil, you can grow in black soil, which is totally fine if you want to. You just want to protect them from the rain. Here in the Houston area, we have a lot of rain. So, you know, honestly, it's better to have them in a loose draining soil like I use with the Soul soils, and then not have to worry about these Caudexes rotting out. Oh yeah, here we go. We're getting some nice showings on these Caudexes. Nice round at the bottom. It's really round. What I couldn't imagine spending a better Friday night doing something like this. Man, this is freaking awesome. I've been looking for a big one like this for a while that I could afford. You know, you could buy something like this for a couple $100. But like if you go straight to where they're growing them, like Fred Reyes, you pay a little bit less money. Trying to get all this black soil off, as much as I can anyway. Some people will even use a water hose to rinse it off. I don't typically like to do that. Eventually it'll all come off as you water. Kind of get in here, and we're probably going to trim a lot of that off. All right. Hey, Duke. Come on, go. Go, go, go. All right. So I'm going to throw this on the turntable, and we'll start really shaving off some of this soil. My brush went. Just going to keep, I had to get it out of the soil. I got my brush down here. We're just going to keep brushing away at this soil. Yeah, it's kind of neat looking. I don't think this is grafted. I haven't seen a blue. Oh, I have seen a blue on this one. This is kind of like your standard bloom that you'd see on some rootstock. Usually they would take a smaller one of these and take it and they'd graft on a, you know, a more exotic looking flower. But this one probably got too big and they liked it. So they just went ahead and left it how it was. Got my chopstick here. Probably gonna be trimming off some of these top roots because this is, I'm probably gonna put it all the way exposed, for like right here maybe. I exposed quite a bit of this Caudex. So trying to get as much of this black soil off. So you could use this black soil if you wanted to. It's no problem. Problem is, anytime it rained, you probably want to go take it and stick it under an awning, because if it sits there and just soaks up water and water and water, it's gonna rot out this Caudex. I've seen what moisture does to plants like this. It is not good. So we're just gonna take our brush. I'll just go back and forth. And this is much more gentle than the chopstick. The brush will allow us to kind of get some of that soil, break up these roots a bit, kind of get them off the Caudex without damaging the Caudex, without gouging or cutting or slicing it, because when you have slices and cuts, that's, you know, opening to disease and bacteria and plant viruses and all kinds of crazy stuff. So you want to be careful making any incisions. So if I make any cuts, which I'm definitely gonna make cuts, I'm gonna wait at least a week to start watering this. At least a week. Some people will go even longer. Oops, there goes my chopstick. It's killing me right now anyway. Kind of loosening up. See how these roots are really dry? I'll probably go ahead and be trimming those off anyway, like I said. And as I'm going through, I'm feeling around. Do I feel any mushy spots? Do I feel any soft spots? Is there a pest problem? Are there any roaches or spiders or termites or ants or anything here? I'm looking for all that stuff. That's why this process is so important, to get to know your desert rose. You know, it's like an introduction, a meeting. We're meeting each other for the first time. You know, you go pick them up from the store, nursery. Look at that, it's beautiful. Go pick them up from the nursery, but you don't really get to know them until you take them out of the pot and see what's down under. Yeah, it sounds really weird. Sorry. All right, let's get to root pruning. So I'm seeing some of these roots up top right here. Probably gonna leave this one. I'm gonna take that one out. I'll go ahead and take this little guy out. I'm gonna toss this in a bucket over here. I don't like to leave this stuff on the ground for my dog to eat. This stuff is kind of toxic, so you just want to be really careful around kids and pets that they're not eating this stuff, because it can be toxic. So these are in the oleander family. They're in the dogbane family, same as plumerias. So you want to be careful. After talking to the Plumeria Papa, it gave me a lot of clarification. We had the Plumeria Papa on the Garden Party podcast, and he was talking about plumerias and adeniums, and talking about how they're in the same family. They're not nightshades, dogbanes, the oleanders, and those are all toxic, and they all are susceptible to monarch caterpillars. I actually had monarch caterpillars eating some of my plumerias, so apparently they'll actually go after adeniums too, because milkweed is in the oleander family. Did not know that. Learn something new all the time when you're gardening. I love learning new stuff. That's kind of the benefit. If y'all aren't already regular listeners on the Garden Party podcast, make sure to follow us on YouTube, or it's already on the Texas Garden Guy YouTube. So if you're subscribed to the Texas Garden Guy YouTube channel, you'll see this. See the Garden Party. If you're already a subscriber to the Texas Garden Guy YouTube channel, then you will see the Garden Party go live every Wednesday night. So I just posted my most recent Adenium video, so I probably won't post this one for at least a week. So it'll be past Halloween, but I'm really looking forward to our Halloween episode, because we're all dressing up like our favorite gardening content creators. And I think I can go ahead and say it by now, because it'll be past tense, but I'm dressing up like Mock from Self-Sufficient Me. Hopefully by then I'll have a picture I can post, I can slide in here. Me and him have the same body type, so I went ahead and went with him. Cut off some of this top growth. Probably smooth that out soon. Like I said, we're gonna do we're gonna prune some stuff on the roots, but we're probably not gonna prune too much above where the soil is gonna be, because that pot isn't super deep, so a lot of this is gonna be exposed. And I have been literally sitting on my hands all week, waiting on my soil to come in so I could do this project, and then also had to go find a pot. Luckily, Houston Garden Center had their pots marked 50% off. I don't usually go to Houston Garden Center, but I was looking for a decent ceramic pot, and they happened to have these shallow ones. I got 3 different options for this one, but I decided on that one. Here we go. These were starting to kind of strangle it. Saw these were kind of going around. These were starting to kind of strangle the desert rose. So we'll go ahead and prune that one off, and we'll clean that up. See how it's kind of wrapping around right here? I want to prune that off. There you go. See that tension relief when I did that? Look at that. It's starting to choke itself out from being in that pot. I don't know if this was in that pot for that long. I don't think this was in that pot as long as I thought it was. And we'll come back with some cinnamon. I'm going to use some cinnamon on this one. I've used cinnamon in my desert rose videos before. And then I had some people tell me that like it doesn't do anything. But then, you know, I keep hearing different things. And I think it really helps. If nothing else, it helps to kind of dry out the wound. And it smells really good. And I'm even told that cinnamon in its powder form, once it gets wet, it's kind of different, but in its powder form, it can deter ants, like fire ants. So that's pretty neat. So I got some cinnamon that we'll maybe sprinkle on this Caudex before we put it to bed tonight. I think I need to get this done tonight before it gets dark. I got quite a bit left to go. Pretty good start. I take my chopstick and kind of get in here in this little crevice and kind of be as gentle as I possibly can. Be gentle. Try not to cause too much scabbing or anything like that. The pot I'm putting these in is pretty wide, so I'm not really worried about, you know, cutting all these roots back. It's got plenty of room, but I'd like to get a lot of this black soil out. See what I'm saying? Get all this out, because if I don't, it's just going to cause me problems down the road. I almost feel like that needs to come off, but I'm too afraid to do it. Well, I don't know. Maybe I can take it off. Maybe I'll do a little piece at a time, maybe. What spiders came out of it? Ah! Don't bite me. Don't know what kind of spider that was. Try to avoid getting bit by spiders when you're doing stuff like this. It's usually the best practice. There you go. That was some surgery right there. Being as gentle as I possibly could. And we'll kind of smooth this out a little bit. Look at that. That's not so bad. Over time, this will kind of scab over, and over time, this will kind of clean itself up. You want to leave a little bit of dieback, room for dieback, but this is not too bad, honestly. Kind of scrape it. Like I said, we're gonna put some cinnamon on top of this to help dry it up, but because we didn't water it for a couple days, there's not a lot of sap flow, and it allows this to do some incisions like this without it actually bleeding out on us. And I say bleeding out, like, you know, sap, like a bunch of sap flow. So this one is okay for now. Don't need to get crazy. We'll keep going a little bit right here though. Starting to lose light. Starting to lose light, honestly. I need to get a move on. Now that I'm looking at it, I don't really like this. All right, we're starting to lose daylight. I was worried about this, but we got our pot here. Let's set it on our Lazy Susan, and then we got our mesh. We'll go ahead and cut out some squares that are big enough for these drainage holes. See how big they are? There's 4 of them where I really like that there's 4 drainage holes. It's really nice. So we're going to cut out 4 pieces of mesh. I'd rather go bigger than have to go back and redo it. And you can buy a whole pack of these sheets on Amazon for like 20 bucks. And I've had them forever. And I reuse them too. I keep them and I reuse them for different projects when I repot. So those are much better. All right, what we're going to do, we got 4 squares. Oh, now we do. We're going to take our Felcos, not our nice pruners. Our Felcos have the little notch right there so that we don't screw up our nice blades. So we're going to go cut out a couple pieces of wire out right here, probably about 3 or 4 inches. This is through gauges, but it's bonsai wire. It's a thicker bonsai wire. And we're going to take the wire and make a U. Just like that. We're going to go into the mesh. I'm going to come from the inside through the hole, just like that. And then I'm just going to spread it out so that the bonsai soil doesn't run out the bottom. I usually curve it. We'll do that 3 more times. That mesh will keep the bonsai soil from coming out the bottom. Would not be good if all the soil is starting to come out the bottom. This will also keep the bigger roots from coming out the bottom too, because we're kind of training our plant to, this is actually not working out with the Lazy Susan on it. We're training our plant to grow more out horizontal than vertical. So this is a big pot. This is a 16-inch wide pot. Like I said earlier, I got this from Houston Garden Center. I don't really like going to Houston Garden Center that much because it's like a big box store. Not that there's anything wrong with some of the big box stores, you know. I just like to support small businesses when I can. But not a lot of small businesses carry big pots like this and have like the choices that a Houston Garden Center will have. Plus, they're 50% off. So if you go to Houston Garden Center right now, a lot of their ceramic and their plastic pots are 50% off. So I got more than just this one. I got a couple of them because I have another desert rose. It's getting a little too big for the pot it's in. I don't really like the pot it's in. I put it in there last year just because it's the only one I had that was big enough. But now I'd like to put it in a bigger, nicer pot. So we'll go here. This last drainage hole. It is getting dark. I'll try to do this. I'll get my light on if I need to. I'll do this in the dark. I've done it before and I'll do it again. I should have like a workshop that I could do all this in. It would be nice. So, but this is kind of the faster part anyway. So we've got our mesh in there, got our turntable. Now we can sit it on the turntable. I'll go ahead and use the remainder of this soil in this bucket to go and get the bottom layer going. We're going to need a lot of soil for this one, but whew, go and get that started. Whew. Smooth it out. Oh, we're going to need a lot more. A lot more. Whew. Here we go. I get a pot. But the soils, you can get it a lot cheaper if you buy in bulk. So I got this, I think I paid 150 bucks for the 7-pound pack instead of the regular 1-pound pack, which is like 30 bucks. So you get like, what is that? 2 gallons free when you buy 7. So if you're doing this on a big scale, you save some money. All right, I think we're good on that. Here we go with the big boy. Ooh, let's see. Oh, I need to add more soil. I need to add more. What do you think? It's not nearly as high up as I'd like it. We'll add another inch or so of soil. Oh, that's a big one. Big cloud. Here we go. Oh, yeah. That's more like it, baby. That is more like it right there. All right, let's see if it's centered. I want to try to get it centered. Looking good. I'm actually, oh, almost forgot the cinnamon. Let's go grab some cinnamon and let's dust this real quick to help the healing, I guess. And then we'll start filling this up. All right, so this is not any fancy cinnamon, and cinnamon I've been told by several people that it helps with antifungal properties, that helps heal wounds on plants like adeniums, but it also just smells really good. So I can use all the help I can get when it comes to, you know, cleaning and healing up these cuts and stuff. So I'll use what I can. I don't think it's hurting anything, but we'll go ahead and sprinkle some on here, kind of puff it on. And this is nothing fancy. This is not fancy cinnamon or anything like that. It is regular store-bought grocery brand McCormick cinnamon. You can kind of see it on the Caudex there. I kind of just sprinkled it on, and it's actually, I do know that it helps with ants. It helps the fire ants as long as it's in the powder form. As soon as it gets wet, it doesn't work. If it's dry cinnamon powders, dry powder cinnamon, if the ants inhale it, it's supposed to like choke them or something. I guess the same thing when people do the cinnamon challenge. I've seen the videos. I guess the same thing for them too. But let's get this pot filled up, man. Yeah, losing daylight. This is the biggest desert rose I've ever had. I'm so excited. I might use at least 5 gallons of soil, I bet. And this is going to give it some room to grow. This soil is going to allow for really good drainage. And it's going to also pack it in nice and tight. Also, as we go, we're going to be using our chopstick, and we're going to go into the soil and poke in there and kind of just poke in and kind of, I call it twerk. We're going to poke in and twerk. Kind of go away from the Caudex. Don't go towards the Caudex. Go down. And you can even use the fat end of the chopstick, not the pointy end, to kind of go down so it won't stab into any of the roots. And we're kind of going fast right now because we're running out of daylight and I want to get this done tonight. So bear with me. I'm going to talk kind of fast and go kind of fast. If y'all haven't seen me pot a desert rose before, which I'm sure most of y'all have, there is a full Adenium playlist on my YouTube channel and plenty of shorts and reels that I've done on other platforms. You can follow me, Texas Garden Guy, on every platform there is. I am like the wind. If you search Texas Garden Guy, you're going to find me. Whew. We're not going to water this for probably about a week. So I love this Lazy Susan. I can just give it a little spin and just let it pour. I love Lazy Susan. Oh my goodness, this is beautiful. This is beautiful. If you're going to do something like this, you typically want to do this in the spring whenever they're in their active growing season. We're in a little bit different situation here in the Houston area because it doesn't really get that cold. Also, I overwinter mine either in the greenhouse, or this one in particular will be in my garage with heating and grow lights. So they don't actually really go dormant for me. They don't really, like it, when I say dormant, they usually will drop their leaves and just go completely dormant, don't grow at all during the winter time. It's not really the case for me. They don't really go dormant. They don't drop all their leaves or do that for me at all. They will stay pretty much, I mean, I wouldn't say they're actively growing that much, but they don't go dormant. I've even had them bloom in the garage under the grow lights with the heater on in there. So that's why I can kind of get away with this. And plus, I'm doing this Soul Soils, this bonsai mix, which there is going to be a 10% discount code in my description. So you can get 10% off your next purchase of Soul Soils. It allows for really good drainage, because over winter, if this sits and it has water up against the Caudex, it's going to be in a really bad spot come spring. It might not make it to spring. It might just rot in your garage. So if you're going to use black soil, you really want to make sure you keep a good eye on these. They keep them in black soil at Fred Reyes over there, where they have all the awesome giants, because they can control the environment. They usually have them in a greenhouse where they don't really water them, but maybe once a week or so. And so they have time to completely drain. But if we're in the Houston area and you got this in your backyard, your back porch or your front porch or whatever, we have weeks where it rains for weeks at a time. We'll get 6 inches of rain in the afternoon. So like, you're not really controlling the environment of that desert rose, and it's just going to sit there and soak in all that water and just rot up against the Caudex. So like I said, what I'm doing here is I'm putting the chopstick into the soil. I'm shaking it and trying to get basically I'm doing like compacting. I'm getting all the air bubbles out. Seeing people will smack the side of the pot. Not really going to work for this. But we're going to just do this, and we're going to go into the soil. We're going to shake, and we're going to vibrate it. And you can see the soil will sink. There's air pockets where there's like, the soil is sinking down into it. I'm going to go all the way down. And what this is doing is filling in those air pockets so that they won't fill up with water. And then it's also packing this plant in at the roots. It's packing it in, and it's looking beautiful. Like it's not gonna flip over. As you can tell, this is a little top heavy. So I really want to get this nice and packed in. So we're gonna go as deep as we can. I'm gonna shake it and have those rocks, the soil, go down in there and just fill in those voids. And I'm smoothing it as I go too. Smoothing it as I go, like a plow. Just moving it along, packing it in, spin it. These little Lazy Susan, this cake decorating stand, is the game changer when it comes to potting bonsai or little succulents or whatever. But I love the way this turned out. All right, guys, so we finished my newest, biggest desert rose for right now. Like I said, in the spring, we're gonna do some more pruning and kind of shape this up and do some cleaning. But it's going into winter, going into fall and the winter. We can go through and we can prune some of these roots on the top. They're hanging up. But for now, this is actually pretty decent. And I just didn't want it sitting in black soil all winter long in the garage or in the greenhouse. I wanted this to be in really good draining soil, because sometimes I pack my greenhouse so dense that I can't get the plants and I don't see them. So I know that if it's sitting back there and it's in the Soul Soils bonsai soil, it's going to have really good drainage, and I don't really have to worry about it. So it's going to do really, really well. I'm so excited for this to be in the collection. Excited to shape it up and get it how I like it. But I hope y'all enjoyed this video, and man, thank y'all for supporting the channel. If you can, make sure to like, subscribe, share these videos with your friends, and man, we'll see you on the next one when we find the next monster. Like, this is This is a dream come true. I love this. I'm blown away by this beautiful plant. I hope y'all are too. The most important thing we're going to do now is we're going to set this in a very shady spot. A spot where it's not getting full sun. Desert roses typically like full sun, but not after they've been transplanted and pruned. So we're going to put it under my shade cloth for now, for at least a week or two, until it fully heals up. If I see signs of, you know, leaf droppage, it's kind of normal when a plant's a little stressed out, but we're going to avoid watering it until it completely heals up, which will take about a week for it to scab up. The cinnamon will probably help quite a bit. So we'll let this heal up. I'm actually going to use my wagon because it is really heavy. It is heavier than I thought it was going to be. So we're going to load it up in the gorilla cart. Oh man, that was way heavier than I thought it was going to be.